What's up, guys? In this video I want to show you a bit about cloth. Yesterday I posted a preview render of this thing and a lot of people were like, how in the world did you do that cloth? I made a video on this several months back actually, but I'm sure a lot of you missed it, especially new subscribers here. Adding this cloth is as easy as cutting a boolean into a cube. I'm not kidding. It's using the HardOps cloth simulator. It's awesome. And I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. There are some technicalities that you might not know of. Okay, so basically, just apply the same principle to your model and you'll get a similar result. So what I did here, I'll just delete this out and show you from scratch. Basically, I took the interior, right? And the interior originally had a floor here, so let me just add that back in. Yeah, so you take the interior or wherever you want to put it on your model, and you select the area you want to kind of have it puff up with a cloth or cushion, whatever. Now in this case, I wanted to do the floor and the walls separately because if you do them all together, if it like curves down and it's incorporating like the floor and the wall together, I found that it puffs up like a balloon and doesn't always give the best results. So in this case, I ended up doing the walls and the floor separately with separate simulations. First and foremost though, what I'm going to do is expand the selection here, and I'm going to remove the floor because I'm going to do the floor separately, and I'm just going to duplicate this little selection here and then separate it as its own piece. Now I do have a lot of booleans running, so Blender is going to give me a bit of a headache, but we'll get through it. Let Blender just, do its thing. Come on, there we go. I'm going to separate it with the P key and then just remove all these modifiers on it. Now, this cloth simulation is a deformation, meaning you need to have all quads or as close to all quads as possible, or you're going to get a shitty result. So make sure you do that. If you have I'll show you what I mean. If you have like a minor triangle or n-gon or two, it's not going to be the end of the world, and I'll show you. But try to get as close to all quads as you can, and make sure this thing is super dense, because the higher the mesh density, the higher your resolution is going to be on the simulation. And I want to make sure these are as close to squares as well. Not that rectangles are going to kill the simulation, but in general you want to stay as close to a square formation as you can for the best results. So I'm going to dissolve those a bit, and then don't worry about the low poly aspect. Once we subdivide it, it'll look cleaner. But basically you want an object, all quads, and then once you have this selection, you basically go into HardOps, add modifier, and then cloth, and you just click the play button. And what HardOps is actually going to do is it's going to just run a basic simulation using all these pre-built settings that you don't have to touch at all, which is a massive relief for me because playing with the cloth simulations are really annoying in Blender. But you can tweak the pressure, you can play with this. Basically, if you want the pressure to be a bit lower, I'm actually going to undo this and go to cloth. And if you put this to like 5 or 6, right, you're going to get different results. It might even end up going inwards at some point. But without getting into too many specifics, you can play with all the different settings here. And generally, the default ones will be okay. But the issue is it's going to be very blocky in most situations, right? And the reason it's blocky is because we need to run a subsurf. So we'll do Control 1 or Control 3 maybe. Yeah, that'll be way better. So now you're going to have a really high resolution, but you're going to have a super clean, clothy looking item, right? And that's basically all you have to do for the wall. And see how easy that was? I did absolutely nothing. I don't even feel like taking credit for this because it's such a shortcut. Now the floor is a bit different. I'm going to duplicate the floor because, like I said, we need to do the floor separately. And we're just going to remove all those. Now in a situation like this, where maybe you have like a big n-gon, right? What you could do is delete out only faces, and then you could run a grid fill. So grid fill, and it might actually run the grid fill just straight across. So in this case, you could actually use like a knife project, or even come in here with the dice tool and dice along this axis until you have roughly squares like this. So maybe okay, cool. Now, I did tell you earlier there would be exceptions. Like once you get into the nitty-gritty, like down here, where you might have like a triangle or two or something, it doesn't matter. I promise you, any minor issues resulted from this, you're never going to see. It's impossible. So as long as you have high mesh density and you have mostly all quads, it's not going to be a big deal. So same exact idea for this one. I'm just going to add a cloth and then click on the play button. And this is just way too high. So this is a situation in which you might want to actually make the pressure a bit lower. We'll do, I think this disappeared for now, but it'll come back. We'll try like 5 and see if that works. Actually, no, the reason this one again is because we need to make sure we apply the modifier there before we do another one. Otherwise, it'll override any previous simulations. So I'm going to do 5 on this one, I think. Actually, 2 ended up working for me, so I'm going to do that. And then you can just, apply it and lock it in. And then you can just kind of, move this up, smooth it out, hit it with a subsurf, maybe scale it a bit on the z-axis. And this is meant to be like a farther away render, right? So like, unless you're rendering really, really close where you might see some minor intersections or something, this is totally fine. And at the end of the day, all you care about is what the viewer sees, not what some microscopic creature sees when they come to critique your work because you have a minor intersection in the corner. Like, no one cares. So yeah, that's really all you have to do a simulation like this. It's the easiest thing, and it makes your models look pretty awesome if it's a generic looking model. So give it a try. It's really fun to use, and it might make your models look a bit more realistic as well. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you take a look at our Patreon, yada yada yada, monthly tutorials, yada, you know the drill. So Patreon's in the description if you want to support us over there. Hope the video helped, and I'll see you in the next one.